For the first Lear 23 was the best looking airplane ever, I think.
As this Lear 23 taught us about high altitude flying.
This aircraft started an industry in Wichita. Part rocket ship, fighter jet,
business jet.
I think Bill Lear was a bit of a visionary. He was thinking out ahead of the industry.
Well, Bill Lear was an inventor. He foresaw the 8-track tape player. He foresaw the automobile radio, the business jet.
Bill Lear was a genius, a great guy.
Bill Lear is probably the most recognized name in aviation. People in the general public certainly have heard of a Lear jet.
Founding the Lear Jet Company in Switzerland.
Well, we were not going to ever build that airplane in Switzerland. These people did not want us there.
Bill, in 1959, challenged the Wichita aviation industry to build the first business jet, and he claimed, if you don't do it, I will. 3 years later, he was back in Wichita doing what he said he would do.
I came in late 1962. The group had gone to Switzerland to bring the project back to the United States. Every day was a challenge, and I ended up being responsible for having to redesign the T-tail.
Didn't have time to do a prototype. He just built it as a production airplane, and it's got to be right first time, and it was.
First time we ever flew the airplane. Grabbed my 8mm camera and came out, got on top one of the buildings over there and said, okay, I'm going to get some pictures of this. And that's where those first movies came up with the airplane taking off.
The Learjet 23003 is a representative of the story of Learjet in Wichita. He was delivered to Chemical and Industrial Corporation of Ohio on October 13th, 1964.
But I remember the excitement of taking delivery of a jet. The plane landing at Lunken Field in Cincinnati. The whole family was there, and so was a lot of press and city dignitaries.
Moya Olson Lear, she helped him to stay focused and centered on his goals and objectives, gave him a safe place to call home. Bill Lear was so successful with the Learjet was largely due to his selling the Learjet out in the Hollywood, role that Clay Lacy played in taking the Learjet brand out into California and the West Coast and marketing that product to the stars of the time in Hollywood, the Frank Sinatras, the Sammy Davis Jr.'s, Danny Kaye, the household names of the entertainers in that area.
Learjet 23, serial number 3, was the first of the first, started it all. And from that airplane, many thousands of Learjets have been produced, and it also spawned competition from other manufacturers, many of whom were in Wichita, and they all have serial number 3 to thank for that beginning.
I get a phone call on the 16th of February of 2022. I get this phone call out of the blue. Says, I hear you want to buy a Learjet. And he told me I am Don Rounds. I own that 23003. It's been sitting outside for 12 years. It hasn't flown. The engines are uncovered. A hurricane had damaged the airplane. We disassembled the airplane.
I flew over to watch 003 being taken apart by so many volunteers. I imagined, knowing Moya, that she would have kissed the nose of that plane when it left the factory 60 years previously. So I similarly kissed her nose, wished her luck on her way back to her birthplace, Wichita, Kansas.
And bring it to Wichita, to the exact location where it was 58 years prior to that. And we got a picture of the airplane sitting there right where it was 58 years later.
It's very important that 23003 is preserved.
So our mission is to get our aircraft fully restored. We are going to need hands-on volunteers to come and work on the airplane.
You can be a part of this. And there's very few things today that you can say, I was there and I contributed to that Lear 23 being put back together and flying at 41,000 feet at 80% the speed of sound.
I think it's very important to have it flying, to be able to show an example to the people how business aviation really came along.
A renovation to fly once more for future generations to learn, touch, and fly in the very first business jet that changed aviation into another world. And I kept my promise to the Lear family.
What 23003
leaves the hangar for its second first flight. It will be a tribute to Bill Lear and the Wichita community. For information on how to contribute, contact us at info@classiclear.org and on our website, classiclear.org.